All right, that was Erica Banks. Bust it. I know you'll be like, what? Listen, first of all, I can't look to work with children or deal with young adults and not understand what they listen to and be able to find some enjoyment in it. I don't have to like all of it, but being able to have some fun, part of it. Parents, don't forget that. Don't think everything that they deal with, that they listen to, is stupid. By taking that position, you automatically distance yourself from your own child, and then they'll stop bringing things to you because you've already said you think that's stupid. Don't do that. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, and educator. I pray everything is well with everyone. So, first and foremost, I hope that everything is good with you guys. It is a new day, and listen, any day above ground is a good day. And I want to say first, let me say this to everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the congratulations. I am still learning how to celebrate myself. It is something that my coaches and my wife have told me that I need to do, and my mentor. So shout out to Coach Glenn Brooks Jr. Great to hear that you had a successful weekend. Shout out to Takessa Colvin and all the great things that you're doing. Shout out to Brian Groves, my mentor, who has been quietly, compassionately kicking me from across the sea over there in Italy. And more than anything else, shout out to my wife, who behind the scenes just keeps me focused, keeps me on point, and doesn't sugarcoat some things when I'm screwing up. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else that has helped. And, the work has to get done. So, oh man, before we get into this morning's conversation, right, let me go through and talk about the sponsors or sponsor right now. Actually, no, I have more than one. So shout out to Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen, 497 Albany Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Owned and operated by Chef Danielle Moore, Chef Danielle Moore. And let me tell you something. And again, guys, y'all know this, and I don't say it just because she's a sponsor. Chef Danielle and I have been rocking together for over, I think, 11 years now. Might even be 12, I'm not sure. But the thing that I can tell you is I love anybody who comes from one level and pushes themselves to the next, despite the obstacles, despite the resistance from other people to support. And she went out and made it happen. And the good thing about Chef is, as you get to know Danielle, you will notice she don't hold her tongue for anything. But I'm gonna tell you something that I really do love is that when you really get to know her, she loves her people, and she loves to see people of color win. And so she supports it because her hope is that in supporting those that look like her, they will return the favor and support her. Now, she doesn't exclude other people. Let me just say that. And that's another reason why I love her. She doesn't exclude anybody else, but she makes a focus to make sure that her people have. But she does not disrespect. And that's the one thing that people got to understand. Being pro black does not mean that you're anti white. It doesn't mean that you're anti other races, other cultures. You're just saying you want to see people who look like you do well, but you don't want to exclude anybody else. And I think sometimes we make it either or, and we say yes, no, black or gray. No, I got all type of clients, white, black, Asian. I love everybody. But because I know what people that look like me have been through, yes, I want to see them do well because we've been harmed. I'm not even going to say hurt, harmed. So I just want to make sure that's understood. So make sure you check out Chef Danielle, Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen, 497 Albany Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights section. But I'm not in New York, Keith. I would love to support her. Okay. Well, she vacuum seals meals and sends them out around the country. Just go to her website, Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen. Also, her cakes in a jar. Now, I recently had the carrot cake and the red velvet cake. That buttercream, though. And I didn't even need it, but it tasted great. But I loved it and I support it. And so, yes, so you can have meals as well as pastries mailed out to you. If you're in the area, but you're like, Keith, it's a pandemic, I would love to come to the restaurant, but people out here not wearing masks. Okay, she's on Grubhub and Uber Eats. She made sure she did all these things. So if you really want it, you can get it. And anytime a person puts that type of effort into what they're doing, it needs to be supported, guys. Okay? So make sure you check out Chef Danielle on Facebook. Danielle Chef Moore at the Lenani Mae's Soul Food Kitchen on Facebook. On Instagram, she is BK Chef Danielle and at the Lenani Mae's Soul Food. And just look at the pictures. Remember, food has to be appealing to your eyes first, your senses, nose, and then taste. So everything. So when you look at her videos, it is aesthetically pleasing first. And I have had her food, so when you taste it, it all comes together. So support people who do those type of things. Now, you guys know I am in the process of rewriting my book, From Gigolo to Jesus, for a 2022 release. And I'm super excited. And you know that I am part of a paid community where I am learning the tricks and systems to help me do better with my book. You've seen the new book cover. Well, that's because I am part of the AMP community, AMP, which is Amplified Marketing and Profits, run by the great Tarkessa Colvin, who has written 19 books herself, has published and worked with a whole lot of authors, and she dispels the myth of the broke author. She actually has a $250,000 plan to show you how you can make that type of money with your book. And when I first heard it, I was like, right. And then when she started to break it down, I was like, that's right. And the reason why is because she makes it make sense. So I have literally started to redo how I'm working my book, and we're going to see. Now, would I like it to make $250,000? Yes, I would. But I first have to do the work, which is what I'm doing. And I'm paying to be in her community because I'm paying for her knowledge, I'm paying for her understanding, and I'm paying for her resources. Because if you're going to pay somebody for something, you need to get something from it. So she is offering me not just knowledge, she's offering me her resources. And that is how I got my new book cover, by finding a new cover designer that was going to work on my book. So it's already paying for itself. And then finally, you guys know that I am building mental health ministries. And what that simply means is that I work with churches to help churches create the mental health ministries that they need, because too many folks are out here hurting, and the churches has the means to be able to help support them as well as provide them the services that's needed. So I partner with churches, and when they have mental health issues that they cannot deal with, they contact me. I am a man of God. I am very vested in the word of God. And when I come in, that's what I look to offer. And this is what I do. And you may go, well, what makes you a person that can do that? Well, I'm glad that you asked. I do have 2 master's degrees, but one of them is human service counseling, a master's degree in human service counseling, now get this, specializing in Christian ministry. I went to school to get a master's degree and learning on how to counsel, but actually how to counsel and use the Christian faith in a way that I'm not preaching to you, I'm helping you heal. That's what I do. And my other master's degree is in education, curriculum writing, assessment, and teaching. I teach teachers how to teach. So I am not just a Christian counselor, I'm also an educator who knows how to teach about the Bible as well. I bring all that to the table to say this: when I work with your church, if I work with your church, I come to the table with the understanding that we need to help your members, because somebody in somebody's church right now is hurting, like Miss Seeley was in Color Purple, and we need to fix that. And I set the churches up to be able to pay and help pay for some of those services. Yes, did you know that? Did you know that? Heavenly Dew, good morning. Thank you. Yes, did y'all know that? I work with churches. Churches pay me, and they help you get the services that you need. So if your leadership is not doing that, if your church does not have that in place, if your church has not made it available, no problem, Heavenly, I'm here whenever, I'm not going anywhere. If your church does not have those things in place, reach out to me. I will reach out to your church. If you're a church leader and you're like, this sounds interesting, reach out, let's talk. You should have a mental health ministry. And let me tell you why you need someone like me to come in and deal with your members of your church. One, the members of your church don't want to tell you everything that's going on with them. And there's no disrespect to you, but they don't want to share all their dirt with you. Second, they get to be in the comforts of their home because we do this virtually. And during these COVID times, that's another thing. So we take that stress off the table. They can talk to me just like this, and we will get to the heart of the problem. And three, I use the Christian faith as an anchor, so you do not have to worry that I am guiding them off away from their faith. No, I'm a faith-based clinician. It's what I do. Okay? All right. So you know that. So reach out to me. I'd love to get on a call. Don't hesitate. Let's talk. I don't shy away from having conversations. It is what it is. All right. So with all of that said, again, let me just reintroduce myself. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, and educator. Oh, almost forgot. Wait. Back it up. I mentioned my book From Gigolo to Jesus that's dropping in 2022, but I forgot. I am also part of another book that is coming out this winter, actually in about a month or two. I think, yeah, it should be about November. Soul of a Man, Part 3. Soul of a Man, Part 3. I was in Soul of a Man 1, Anthology of the Year, 2009. I was in Soul of a Man, Part 2, Make Me Want to Holler. We were runner-up to Anthology of the Year in 2015. And now, 6 years later, we return. 13 brothers of color, all writing about some fantastic stories and showing you that men of color can come to the table and write a whole lot more than sex, violence, sports, and all the other stuff. All right. And my story, the restoration of a monster. Yes, that is the title of my new story, The Restoration of a Monster. You will dig it. So I am so happy. Shout out to Elise Gabriel for over 12 years ago having the vision to bring men of color together to show that in a literary sense, we got something here. And we won an award because it was 13 brothers in the first book, 17, I believe, in the second book, and we're back to 13 in this one. But like I said, I've been a part of this project since 2006. So I've been here for 12 years. And I have gotten better each time that Elise has asked me to don the pages of The Soul of a Man. So this one right here, first one, Soul of a Man. Second one, Soul of a Man, Makes Me Want to Holler. That's the title. This one here, Soul of a Man 3, I Can't Breathe. And you've seen the memes and other things that I put out. But if you haven't, just check out my page. I am super excited about this because there's quite a few of us that was in the first book. We've all grown as men. We've all grown as men of God. I think all of us practice the faith. But more importantly, thank you so much, Heavenly. More importantly, we're speaking to the times that are going on right now. So I guarantee you, one of us brothers, one of the soul brothers, as we're called, will hit home for you when you read our stories. And like I said, the title of my story is called The Restoration of a Monster. Just let that sink around. The Restoration of a Monster. Because I know some things, and I've seen some things, and I've done some things. So anyway, that's it. That's what I got going on. And please, listen, you don't write a book called From Gigolo to Jesus if you don't have a story to tell. You don't write a book called From Gigolo to Jesus if you don't have a lesson to teach. And so this time with the re-release of my book, From Gigolo to Jesus, is that there will be a cohort, meaning a course where you can come work with me for 4, 5, 6 weeks, as well as a private group for you to come in, because I will be working on and explaining what personal and spiritual transformation looks like. I was a misogynistic whore, and my God was panties. Yes, I served the Lord of panties, and I had to learn how to let all that go to serve the real God, my God with a little g. And you have to learn. So for 37 years, I served sex. The last 16 was about serving the Lord. And I've made some steps, and I bumped my head a couple of times. But the beautiful thing is I'm here, and God has blessed me, and God has allowed me to move past. And I had to own the things that I did. And I'll teach you how to do that, male or female. I mostly work with women, but it's always open to the brothers that's ready to make that transition. But that's what the cohort, that's what the course will be. So over a 6, maybe 8-week period, you will get to learn how exactly, Heavenly, you beat me to it, how to take ownership of what was your life, what is your life, and what your life could be. All right, that's coming in 2022. But let's get to today's topic. Thank you so much for rocking out with me and hearing everything. Now, today, We're talking about how your word is supposed to mean something in business and in any relationship that you're in. I come from New York City. I'm now living in Delaware, and it was called Word is Bond, son. And your word was supposed to be your bond. Your word was supposed to stand on something. Your word was supposed to mean something. Somehow, over the years, we have reached a point where we have gotten so used to talking, so used to saying whatever, that our word means nothing. That's it, right? I'm a little. I was around before Al B. I remember when Al B came out though. He dated what's name that was on Channel 11 too. But I think Al B. Sure's album came out in '87. I was actually in college at the time. Yeah, '87. But yeah, your word is supposed to mean something simply because, and Tony Montana said it. All I have is my huevos and my word. I'm not gonna say all, but you know what he's talking about. He said, and I break neither one for no one. And I'm gonna tell you something. When he said that in Scarface, people who understood how the streets roll got it. My church folks are supposed to understand that, but often we miss that. All I have is what God, basically what he was saying is all I have is what God gave me, my huevos and my word. And I don't break either one. And breaking means I'm not going to go out here and play myself for you. And if I say it, I'm going to stand on it. And Tony was a stand-up guy, but then once the drugs kicked in, his word went out the window too, wound up shooting his man. What I've noticed today, and I'm not putting this on the young folks by no means, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not putting it on the young folks. That's us old heads' fault. We need to stop blaming these young guys and go, young kids, and stop saying, you young kids today. And sometimes when I'm in a distance, I so want to jump into the conversation. The reason why some of these young kids are screwed up today because we as old heads messed up. I was about to say something else, Lord. I know you're working on me, Lord. I was about to, but anyway, I see a lot of old heads that's out here pointing fingers as if they didn't burn the bridge down after they crossed it. And when the young kids didn't have the bridge to go across and built their own, you criticize the bridge. Now, some of my church folks know what that looks like because in the Bible, when we got freed from Babylon and they were rebuilding the church, it was a couple of elders that were standing there going, our churches used to look so much better than this. Well, how did we become slaves? Because of you cats. We also forget it was the elders when we were supposed to travel into the promised land that got all fearful and scared when Caleb and Joshua came back. We can't fight them. So God said, you know what? You don't have to. Stay your behind right here for 40 years. Stay right here. I'll take your kids and Caleb and Joshua. We're going to go ahead in to the promised land. Y'all stay right here because y'all scared. Suckers. Now, God didn't say sucker. He might have. But the idea is, in business, your word is supposed to mean something. In any relationship, your word is supposed to mean something. And I find too often folks are quick to say, but it's not what they mean. And I got a problem with that. I like to consider myself an honorable dude. And I remember when I first started my first mentor program, 2010 in Canarsie High School, Brooklyn, my young kings, and that was the name of my program, still is the name of my program. My Young Kings program was designed to reinvent the way these young folks thought. One of the first words I taught them was honorable. And I asked all of them, do you know what honorable means? Not one kid could answer. And I said, to be honorable means that you are who you say you are. You're going to do what you say you're going to do and stand on that, even if it means you're going to take a loss. One of the movies that I showed them, and they were high school kids, I showed them the movie Gladiator. Yeah, very violent. I got it. Russell Crowe. Very violent movie. Some of the greatest lines ever. And also great when you have a conversation about how are you seen and how will you be remembered. And I think what happens is we as parents are not teaching anymore. We're doing the best we can to try to raise our children, but we're not teaching our children. I'm going to tell you why we're not teaching our children. Often as parents, we don't have a clue what we're doing. I don't mean to step on anybody's toes, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. And the reason why I know this is because as a counselor, I have the parents. When they sit with me, and one of the first things they say is, Mr. Keith, I don't know what to do. I get it. Thank you for being honest. And that's part of my counseling, first of all. You will hear me say often in my counseling sessions, thank you for being honest. And let me tell you why I thank people for being honest. You could try to waste my time. Childhood wound, yes, definitely, Heavenly. You could try to waste my time and lie to me. That doesn't help me and it doesn't help you. One, you're paying me for the time. Two, by lying to me, you're only keeping yourself in pain. I can't help you heal if you come to the table with lies. And here's the one thing why you shouldn't lie to a good counselor or a good therapist. Because your lies doesn't match where you are, and your lies doesn't match what you're doing. So if you come and everything sounds super good and you're okay, why are you in therapy? If you're like, I got a handle on this and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, show the receipts. And that's the problem. Social media has allowed us to be able to say we're whatever, and there's no receipts. And many of us are not asking for receipts. Anybody can be the literary guru. Anybody can be the self-help guru. Anybody can be the top flight coach. Anybody can say whatever, deception and delusion. Thank you so much. Great points, Heavenly. I'm going to take you on the road with me. Anybody can say whatever they want. It's when you say, show me your clientele. No, I ain't got to prove nothing to you. Yes, you do, because you said it. Yes, you do. And that's the crazy part. Because of social media, you can pretty much just feed anybody anything and think it's going to be okay. I want proof. I want in. Like my man Christopher Walken said in King of New York, if a nickel bag is sold in the park, I want in. I want half. I want a little bit of everything. This is all supposed to be me. He said, even if a nickel bag is sold in the park, I want in. You know why? Because your word was supposed to mean something. Somebody was supposed to be able to count on the fact that if you say, I can deliver this, you can. Now, let me tell you why I hired business coaches. I already had a business before I hired my coach. I already had a business. Let me tell you why I was struggling with it. Because of arrogance. So my coach reached out to me 2015. I had already been in business for 5 years. Over the next 5 years, I'm back and forth doing what I got to do. And I had an idea of starting a second business, but I wasn't sure. My coach continued to stay close to me, not because it was just, ooh, I'm going to get his money. He said to me, I was attracted by this right here, what I do, what I'm doing right now. I used to do it on Periscope. And we just stayed connected. And he was building him. And as we would talk, his receipts were not what he was saying. It was that I could see him doing what he said he was going to help me do. He was doing for himself. So his word connected to his actions and the results of. So after 5 years, when he said to me, you know, I got a spot for you, dog. And then the other thing he dropped on me was, God told me we were going to work together. I was like, okay. And I don't get mad when people say God, say whatever, because I'm going to tell you, here's what it is, right? When somebody says, God told me this and God told me that, you know why I don't trip on that? I don't want that smoke, because you got to deal with God if you telling a lie. It says that in Corinthians. You're supposed to believe your Christian brother and sister. For if they're lying, God will deal with them. And I don't want any of that smoke. So what I'm saying to you, if you're watching this, and I don't know who needs to hear this, and I don't know who's watching this and needs to get anything from it, right? But listen to me. When you tell somebody you can do something, do it. God, nah, there we go. I'm on speaking terms with him too. I take it easy though. I ain't trying to play. I ain't trying to get that anger, that fervor. I read that book. I know what happens to some folks. Just check out Nebuchadnezzar if y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but your word is supposed to mean something because people have to trust who you are. They have to trust that what you say is what it is. Do we all have different hangups? Yes. Have we all made mistakes? Yes. Are we always going to deliver what we say we're going to deliver? No. But be honest. I didn't do this because I screwed up this. And I'm telling you, as a guy who has did some things in his relationship that's just pitiful, I've had to own it. I read Magic Johnson's book years ago, and he said the hardest thing in the world was to go home and tell Cookie about the HIV diagnosis, and then he had to explain about the cheating and everything else. Let me tell you why that hit home with me. I had that not the HIV, but I understood what that call was like. I understood what that ride home was like, to be able to try to come clean. It's not easy. It's what allows me to help people now. I had to own my own dirt. That's why I put it into a book. I put it into a book because I wanted folks to realize when I say from gigolo to Jesus, it was designed to get you to think gigolo. How somebody go from a gigolo to Jesus? He called himself Jesus? You can think that if you want, read the book. Because a gigolo is one mindset. To get to Jesus, you need another mindset. That was the whole double entendre behind the title. I went from somebody who was serving himself to now serving the Lord. And I had to let you know what that looks like. And most recently, because of the coaches that I have in my life, I had to learn to unmute myself. Yes, I had placed myself over in the corner and was like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just going to lay back and let everybody do whatever. And literally sitting there mad, watching other people put out trash and know that is not the way that's supposed to be, but I wouldn't say anything because I just was like, I've been through my own dirt. I ain't saying nothing. And then I said, no. I realized that people weren't being true. Their word was hollow, paper thin. I think MC Light has a song, Just Paper Thin. Check it, it's actually a good song. And then let me say this too as we're coming to the bottom half of the hour. My church folks, the Bible says, let your yeses be yeses and your noes be noes. You know what that translates into? Stand on your word. Did you know that? MC Light, there we go. That's my girl. Love her music. Did you know that? That the Bible, with all the posturing that people do when it comes to the Bible, who wrote it, I don't get into all that foolishness. I'm going to tell you why. I don't care who wrote it. I read it because when I apply it to my life changed. When I applied it to my focus changed. When I changed the way I believe and I changed the way that I feel and I now added faith to what I do, a peace came to my life. So you can fight with it, argue with it, burn it if you want. That's okay. That's on you. It changed me because the guidance gave me a new look at how I could be and who I could be. The transformation. There you on it, Heavenly. And the Bible talks about your word is supposed to mean something because God's word means something to us. And God says, I am the same God that Adam prayed to, that you praying to. I ain't changing. And if I'm the example, then what does that mean for us? So right now, I want to challenge anybody watching this. If you can look in the mirror and say, every time you opened your mouth and you did what you're supposed to do, said what you're supposed to say, and you stood on it, then this ain't for you. God bless you. Put it in the chat how you did it. But if you're watching this and you know that you've said some things, or you haven't said some things, I want you to actually put a one in the chat and say you need to work on that. Yes, there we go. Thank you so much. And he is that lamp. And he is what brightens our path, Heavenly. The problem is many of us go looking off to the side because we want what we want. So I want to challenge anybody watching today. If you're struggling, yes, there you go. I think we're all supposed to be, as long as we can open our eyes and we have rational thought, we're supposed to be lifelong students. I know I'm a lifelong educator, which means I'm a lifelong student because every great educator has to be a great student too. So I have rock with that, Heavenly. So let me tell you this right now, right? If you're dealing with people whose word is soft and weak, cut them loose because eventually they'll hurt you. Yes, I amen to that. I can co-sign to that right there. But if you're dealing with somebody who their word, cut them loose or start to distance yourself from them. I've had some recent experiences, but let me just tell you this, and I want to share this with you, right? When I say cut them off, and it doesn't have to be immediately, but In time, you're going to have to, because the longer you stay next to somebody who is untrue at what they say and their word can't be counted on, it's going to come back to burn you. But what I do, and I'm not asking you to be me, I'm just telling you what I do. I always attempt to teach. I always attempt to teach. Just told me, okay, there you go. Appreciate that, Heavenly. I always attempt to teach. So even when you do me dirty, I still may cut you, I'm still gonna cut you off, depending if I don't see changes. But I'm always going to teach, because in my mind, I don't want you ever to say, well, nobody told me. Well, if he would have just said, he didn't have to cut me off. No. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, and I'm going to point out where your words didn't line up with what you said you were going to do. And I'm going to try to give you an understanding of how wrong that is. And then I'm going to go about my business. Because I was built, now hear me on this, I was built to educate. I was built to serve. I was built to be able to make my words make enough sense that you can get it. Now, what you do after you hear them is on you. Boys, that's right. We've come to the end of the road. Because we've come to the end of the road. I'm done. And once you get to that point, now here's another thing too, ladies. Now this to my sisters, ladies, and this is why I work mostly with women. When that man shows up, and he will come back as you do better, trust. Or he'll come back when he's bored. When that man wants to come back into your life and he tells you, he's gonna look you right in the eye too. He gonna be ready for it. He gonna have the award-winning look, the Denzel look. When he comes back into your life and he says, I'm ready to have all those things that we can have. Check this out. Ask for receipts. You go, receipts, Keith? Yes, I'm gonna give them to you. Listen to me, because I'm not saying that he might not have changed. So hear me on this. Ask him why you should take him back. He's going to tell you he changed. Okay, prove it. And here's where the proof should lie. If he doesn't give you an answer that is connected to something greater than himself that he can prove to you, close your door, close your legs, and go on about your business. What I mean by that is, if he hasn't reconnected with his children and can show that he's doing that, if he doesn't have the new job that has pushed him to a new level where he has to become a different person to be able to orchestrate that job, which means he's then surrounded by people who are on a higher level. 3, if he's not connected to a new faith, new type of faith, whether Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, I don't care what it is, that he can then show you the physical and spiritual attributes of that change. If the only thing that he can show you and say to you is that I've changed because I thought about what I was doing and I made those changes, cut him loose. Cut him loose. Because a man does not change himself on his own. He changes himself with the renewing of his mind to something bigger than him. And he has to be able to convey that. Now, you just got a little glimpse of some of the stuff that I will be teaching in my course. Is that, what does that look like? When people ask me, how were you able to get past the cheating to be able to work things out with your wife and to get things straight? Because of God first, my wife second, and then third, I realized that I was not going to be able to live life in abundance without either one. God became my foundation, became my guidance, became the source of my direction, and my wife became my undergird, became my helper, became the thing that kept me straight. She held my crown and my seat until I was ready to sit down and put my crown back on. So this is bigger than me. Or as Nino Brown said, this is bigger than Nino Brown. New Jack City. And that's going to be a book I'm working on. I haven't started writing it yet. I have the outline. God and my wife saved my seat. God and my wife saved my life. Because they did. And when I can show you, and I have receipts, held my crown in my seat. Yes, that's exactly right. So that's what I teach. So my word means something because I'm showing you the receipts. Now, just look. Look at the lives that have changed once I changed mine. Look at the way my wife's life has changed. Look at what my wife says. Look at what my children say. Look at what my former students say. Look at what my clients say. The receipts are there. I'm sitting there telling you I got to learn how to celebrate major wins, which I just had. I'm still trying to learn how to do that. But go to my Facebook page and look at the number of congratulations once people heard that I had a big win. And many of them don't know what the big win is. You know what they know? That it was me. And I made sure I responded to every post. It's a very big domino effect, Heavenly. I made sure I hit a love on every post. Now, I didn't respond to everybody verbally because that's a whole lot of typing, but I made sure if you sent a congratulatory post, I pressed love because I wanted you to acknowledge that you acknowledge me. But those are receipts. And the work itself, look at the work I've done. I put the work in for you to see it. So when I ask you to consider me as the person that you need to hire as your coach, not coach, as your counselor, as the person who can help you. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. The reason why I asked you is because I come to the table with receipts. I come to the table with proof I've changed lives. I'm not saying pay me because of what I think I can do. I say pay me because I know what I can do. My word stands on that. And that is where when Denzel and Blue Magic said, we talking about drugs, but he was like, that's a brand. I stand on that. But he was so serious about his dope because he knew Blue Magic was that. Now, I'm never an advocate of drug dealing. I'm never an advocate of what drugs do. Was looking at, he stood on his word and was so protective of his word that he'd rough off his own family. And sometimes you have to be that way. Have I distanced myself from some family members? Yes, I have. I don't talk to some. And I don't care if they get upset. Because if where they are and where I am don't line up, hey, listen, God bless. I don't pray anything negative for you. But I can't rock with you. And my word is my bond. So how many of you right now are struggling because you can't be who you claim to be? Or you're hurting because you allowed somebody close to you who wasn't who they said they were? Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you have dealt with somebody who was not who they claimed to be, or you did business with somebody who was not who they claimed to be. 2013, I lost $15,000 because of the people that I was doing business with did not turn out to be who they was. And I should have learned by just watching their private life. But you know what? I thought we were friends. And I learned very quickly, just because somebody rocks close to you, rocks near you, and rocks with you, doesn't mean they care about what happens to you. Because self-preservation is a mother, oh, you know the rest. We fall down, but we get up. But let me tell you what 2013 taught me. It was a valuable lesson, a $15,000 lesson. Who I don't want to work with. My contracts took a different look. My focus took a different look. So I thank them for the pain they caused. I thank them for causing me to put my trust in them, and it cost me my van, which I owed. I think I wasn't able to make the last 4 payments, whatever, so they got repoed. And my wife and I were sitting there like, wow, how could we do this? And here she was, pregnant and getting ready to have our child, but it was okay. You know why? I learned a valuable lesson, a lesson that now it's not even a thought now, because my back end is stronger, getting even stronger because of my coaches. So whoever's watching this, Please understand that if somebody did you dirty, eat that, as the kids say. We eat those. And I'm going to tell you what that means. Accept it, deal with it, keep it moving. Get with a person like me to help you deal with the emotion, and then let's get back in the race. Dust yourself off. And I'm going to give you one little thing that my grandmother told me because I'm actually past the half an hour. I try not to go longer than a half an hour. When I first separated from my wife, May of 2020, May of 2000, I'm sorry. I was back home, broken because my marriage had finally came to an end. I was a horrible husband, by the way, and we weren't supposed to get married, and she wasn't a good wife, and I don't put the blame on her. I put the blame on both of us. We should have never got married. But I was sitting in my room, and to be back in my room as a grown man, I remember sitting there broken. And please understand this, and hear me, guys. And again, we'll talk about this in the course too. Nobody gets married to end up divorced. Nobody gets married for it to fail. But sometimes failure has to happen for the change that's necessary so the real love that's due you can find you. So hear me on this. I'm sitting there broken and in tears. My grandmother came to the door. My grandmother's a Southern Baptist. She don't play games. And she saw me crying, and you would think as a mother, grandmother, hey, you gonna be okay. Nah, not my grandmother. We don't play those games. She came to the door. She said, "Boy, look at me." And of course, when you're broken like that, you don't want to look up at anybody. You definitely don't want to look up at moms or grandma. She said, "Look at me, boy." And I looked up, and she said, "Cry tonight, and then get your ass up and you start living your life. We didn't raise you to be soft. You don't serve a soft God." And she said, you want her to feel it? You want her to understand who you are? Get up and be the best goddamn you that you can be, and she'll remember who you were. But you don't cry after the night, not over no damn woman. We didn't build you that way. God didn't make you that way. Do you hear me? I said, "Yes, Grandma." And I said, "Yes, old lady." That was my term for it. I said, "I got you, old lady." She said, "Okay, then you got me." And she closed the door, and that was the last conversation we had. Now, let me explain something to you. I was married 91. It ended in 2000, dated for 2 years, so 11 years we were together. Okay, 11 years. We had two beautiful children. We have two beautiful sons. Grown men now. One just had a birthday the other day. But since 2000 to today, I met my wife in 1995 when I was married out trying to cheat. She caught on and was like, "Get out of here. I don't mess with married men." So 5 years later, in 2000, October of 2000, now I had been on the prowl for 5 months out here wilding out. That's when I met my lovely wife, Tiffany. Okay, we've been together for 21 years. In the 21 years that we've been together, 5 books, 2 master's degrees, 2 businesses, a spot on CNN, Ebony Magazine, featured in Ebony, Jet, and Essence in the Black Expression Book Club, and most recently signed the biggest deal with the U.S. government that I've ever signed in my career. So anybody watching, please understand this. I don't hold any malice or any anger or anything towards my ex-wife. It was necessary that I be broken in a bad relationship to know what to do when the next one came. And it has not been all peaches and cream and all that. Tiff and I had to go through some stuff. But the reason why God is rewarding me now is because each stuff that we went through, I grew. And because I grew is because I had the right woman in place. It didn't make my wife a bad woman. It just made her bad for me. she's going to eventually find somebody that's good for her. I pray that. I pray for her. I pray for all of the mothers of my children. And you go, all of his children. Yeah, read from Gigolo to Jesus. We talked about this. 7 children, 6 different women. I told you this. I was a whore. I have no problem admitting that. Go read my book. You'll understand. I started when I was 14. Yes, I started having babies when I was 14. I'm 54. Do the math. I've been with close to 300, 400 women, some foolishness like that. Yes, I was nasty. So why did God bless me? Why did God save me? Because he knew somebody would hear me. He knew somebody would listen to me. My job was just to get the story out and make my word stand up like his stood up in my life. So what I'm trying to tell anybody watching, yes, I look forward to it. I look forward to it, Heavenly. I will definitely look out. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for so much and coming on and interacting with me today. Love it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, by the way. So I'm saying to anybody watching this before I go, let your word stand on something. Let you change the life. Because let me tell you what's crazy. Somebody is waiting on you to be the best you because their life needs you. And in turn, if you allow, God has created somebody out there that's going to help your life be the best life it could be because they showed up. I'm living proof of that. And I don't know who needed to hear this today. I don't know who's struggling with something today. I don't know who right now knows that their word is not what it's supposed to be. Well, you can change that by starting today. First, stop lying. Stop capping, as the kids say. Stop trying to be something that you're not and accept who you are and build on that. Am I the size that I want to be? No, I would like to be a little smaller, so I'm working on that. Is my business growing? Yes. Is my relationship getting better? Yes. My children healthy? Yes, thank God. So I'm working. And yes, I got blessed the other day, and I love it. Thank you, God. Thank you for blessing me. But the work is required, and I'm not done yet. There's still more to get. Because here's what I realized. By him expanding my territory, he's allowing me to help other people. So why wouldn't I want more? Because I can help more, do more, leave more behind, bring other people to the table, change the lives of other people who may not be able to do what I can do. You know why? Because they're going to do that for somebody else. Well, you may say, Keith, how do you know that? I believe it. I have faith in it because my God tells me it'll happen. You don't have to believe. I got enough belief for the two of us until you figure it out. So I don't know who you are right now, where you are, but if you need to talk, reach out. Let's get on a call. Let's sit down and figure out how I can help you with your problems. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this right now, so do not take offense to it. My spaces is filling up. I don't have that many more. I don't have that many openings right now. I'm working on it. It's a good problem, but I don't have that many openings because I'm almost booked solid. And I do have a waiting list in some areas and not in other areas. And there's some other things that I'm working on. And there's also some people that I'm looking to partner with because I can't carry all this water myself. And that's actually a good problem. That now I can go to somebody else and say, let me help you because I need your help. So I'm going to try to feed as many people as I can. You know, Jesus fed 5,000 with 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. Well, first you got to go get the fish and the bread and let Jesus do what he do. So I'm going to get the bread and the fish. I'm going to trust the Lord to keep breaking it into pieces. And here's what everybody misses about that parable. There was so much left over that they put it on the boats to take it to the towns to give to more people. So he didn't just feed those who were there listening. He had tons left over. He had product left over to go out and give to more. Please, there's so much guidance in that book that many of you can get past the foolishness, the topical foolishness. There's some real sound principles that the Bible shows you. That's what I'm about. Well, thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. Thank you for checking in with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Come on, I think it's the whispers. What are we gonna do? For me, be. Play it, old heads. Smoking in my sleep. Have a good day, guys. God bless. And don't front. Y'all was fronting on the whispers? Come on. Them twins was working. God bless, guys. My heart. I love thing. God bless. Love thing. It's a love thing. Good time to start my day. I got progress reports today. Enjoy, guys. Have a good day. Blessings.